So we've got our first example here and we're comparing breakfast cereals. So on the left, we have cereal A. It's an unnamed cereal with a 4 health star rating. It's endorsed by athletes and it claims to be one of the highest protein cereals. On the right, we've got cereal B, which claims it's low in sugar, it's 97% whole grain, and it's Australian made. So let's have a look at the nutrition information panel. So what we want to look for, at the per 100 grams column. We can see here that the serve sizes are different for the two cereals and we can't use this to compare the two products. And then step 1 of the label reading steps is to check the fat. So we can see that both these cereals have less than 10 grams of total fat and less than 3 grams of saturated fat. So fat's usually lower for breakfast cereals unless they have a high nut content, so muesli for example. So check the ingredients for nuts, and if there are nuts in it, a higher fat content might be acceptable because nuts are a great source of healthy fats. But keep in mind the saturated fat should still be less than 3 grams. Step 2 is to have a look at sugars. So we want to make sure that there's less than 15 grams per 100 grams, and we can see cereal A on the left has 26.7 grams and doesn't meet our criteria, but cereal B only has 3.3 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Step 3 is to look at fiber, and we're looking for more than 3 grams per serve. So on the left, cereal A only has 2 grams per serve, but cereal B has 3.3 grams. Step 4 is to check sodium. So both of these cereals have less than 400 milligrams per 100 grams, which is acceptable. And then lastly, step 5, we want to have a look at the ingredients list. So with cereals, we're usually looking for a high whole grain content. So check the first ingredient and have a look at the percentage. For cereal A, we can see that cereals only make up 46% of the product, and we can see it's mainly your processed cereals. However, on the right, cereal B, we can see that it's whole grain wheat and it makes up 97%. We also want to have a look at sugars. So if there's a high sugar content in the cereal, check the ingredients list, and if sugar is in the top 3, swap it for a better choice. So we can see cereal A, sugar's actually the second ingredient. So I might pop up the first poll. So we've got everyone voting for cereal B. So cereal B is the healthier choice. We can see it's much lower in sugar content, it's higher in fiber, and it's mainly a whole grain, it's mainly made out of whole grain cereal. Perfect. All right, we can move on to our second example. So we usually recommend adding your own fruit to plain yogurt, but it might not always be possible. If you're running out the door, grabbing a flavored yogurt might be more convenient. So let's compare 2 strawberry flavored yogurts. On the left, we have yogurt A. It's just a natural yogurt. And then on the right, we have yogurt B. So this is a kid's yogurt and it comes in a very convenient pouch. Both claim to have real fruit and no artificial colors or flavors. So let's have a look at the nutrition information panel. So going through our 5 label reading steps, step 1 is to have a look at fat. And we can see that both yogurt A and yogurt B meet our criteria of under 10 grams of total fat and under 3 grams of saturated fat. However, we can see yogurt B is just a little bit higher in that fat content. Step 2 is to have a look at sugar. So we can see that yogurt A has 9.2 grams of sugar, which is less than our 15 grams, but yogurt B has 16 grams per 100 grams, which is higher than our criteria. So step 3 would be to check fibre, but you can see it's not listed here, so it's not required to be listed by manufacturers unless they're making a claim about fibre. So we'll move on to step 4, which is to check the sodium, and we can see that they're both very low and well below that 400 milligram mark. Step 5 is to check the ingredients list. So we usually recommend low or reduced fat yogurt for children above 2 years of age. However, full fat is recommended for children below 2 years. So we can see on the left, yogurt A has 82% low fat yogurt and it's made with skim milk. And on the right, yogurt B, that's made with just milk there. We also want to have a look at sugar and avoid flavoured yogurts with high sugar, especially if it's added sugar. So we're checking the ingredients list and we can see that in yogurt B, sugar is actually the second ingredient. So we have yogurt A, so that is the better or healthier choice. So it's lower in sugar and it also uses low fat yogurt, which is recommended for children above 2 years of age. So our last example, we often get asked about healthy drinks to offer children. So before we get started, sorry, I'll stop sharing that. So before we get started, I'll pop up another poll and you can guess, I want you guys to have a guess which drink has the most sugar. So we'll pop up a new poll. So most people voted for cola. And let's have a look. So we can see that cola does have the most sugar. It's got 8 teaspoons of sugar in a can. Then it's chocolate milk with 5.5 teaspoons and juice with 2.5 teaspoons. This is 100% fruit juice, keeping in mind. So we can see that all of these drinks have concentrated amounts of sugar. And excess sugar can lead to tooth decay and excessive energy intake. And these aren't necessary in a child's diet. So we do recommend water as the best choice. It has 0 sugar. But if you are going to offer a sugary drink, it's important to have a look at the food labels to check for added sugars. So when looking at drinks, our main concern is the sugar content. So we can see that cola had the highest amount of sugar. And when we check the ingredients list, we can see that it's mainly made from water, sugar, and flavors and coloring. So it doesn't offer any other nutrients or added benefits. Chocolate milk was second highest in sugar. And also if we look at the ingredients list, the second ingredient is sugar. However, there are some other benefits. So the reduced fat milk will provide nutrients such as protein and calcium, but we still recommend to offer plain milk to children. So low fat if they're 2 years or older and full fat if they're less than 2 years. And lastly, juice had the least amount of sugar, and since it was 100% fruit juice, it doesn't contain any added sugars in the ingredients list. While these are natural sugars, the sugar has been concentrated from about 3 to 4 oranges just to make 1 cup of juice. And it doesn't have the fiber that usually comes from eating a whole piece of fruit. So often I like to ask children if they can eat 3 to 4 large oranges in the 2 minutes that they can down a cup of juice. And often the answer is no, you'd get too full from the fiber before you'd be able to finish the oranges. So if you are going to choose to offer your children juice, make sure it's 100% fruit juice and not fruit drinks, which are often loaded with added sugar. And keep in mind that 1 serving is only half a cup.